lunches for the weekdays can seem like a very time-consuming task, which is why most of us end up resorting to takeout. With the rising cost of food and the lack of nutritious choices close to most of our offices, this can take a toll on your budget and your health. I am a downtown dweller myself. I work in an office 4 to 5 days a week, and I have been consistently bringing my lunch for many, many years now. So I'm going to share with you some tips on how I do that. Now, I don't like eating the same thing every day, so I'm not really big on the meal prep videos where it's the same meal 5 days in a row. By Wednesday, I can't even look at it. So I focus a little more on ingredient prep rather than full meal prep during the weekdays. So I'll take you through some of what we have here. So we have some veg, we have purple cabbage and carrots and some broccoli, Brussels sprouts, avocado and lime and sweet potato. For our protein, we have frozen edamame and we have 2 packs of extra firm tofu. For our grains, we have 2 different options. We have quinoa and we have wild rice. We're also gonna do a few sauces because I feel like sauces are the king to a good meal prep. So for that, we have salsa, nutritional yeast, cashews, and barbecue sauce. We also have more protein and fiber sources here, which are black beans and chickpeas. And we have bell peppers and cucumber and avocado oil and corn and some bouillon cubes and again, more spices. So I'm gonna get into showing you how I actually use these ingredients and just prep a few different things so that you can throw stuff together this week. And then I am gonna show you what I actually do make this week with these ingredients. So, all right, let's get started. I also wanted to mention a few other helpful things for meal prepping. The first one being containers. Now, you do not have to go out and buy matching containers, but if you are interested, these ones are from IKEA and they were pretty inexpensive. But again, you don't have to have matching containers. You can get containers from anywhere, including Amazon. And 2 other things that we're gonna be using this week are a high-speed blender. It does not have to be a Vitamix or anything like that. It can be something very small. We're gonna need this for at least one of the sauces that we're gonna make. And then a food processor. This is not necessary. This is gonna save me some time. So if you have a food processor, great, but you can finely chop these things on your own. I just like this because I find cabbage a little bit hard to chop really, really small, and we're gonna use this for one of the recipes. So, all right, let's go ahead and make this stuff.
First, we're prepping a big batch of roasted veggies, something I do almost every single week. Start by chopping up a large sweet potato into bite-sized pieces. You can use a jewel sweet potato like I am here or any other sweet potato you can find. I also really like purple sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are packed with vitamin A and vitamin C and fiber. Spread the potatoes onto a lined baking sheet. Next, I'm cutting up a red bell pepper. Roasted bell peppers are deliciously sweet and add such a nice addition to a batch of roasted veg. You can use any bell pepper you want, I just prefer the red. They are also rich in vitamin C and antioxidants. Spread the peppers on the baking tray as well. Lastly, I always eat some kind of cruciferous vegetable throughout the week, and this week we're going with Brussels sprouts. Studies suggest that cruciferous vegetables may lower your risk of several different types of cancer, including breast, pancreatic, colon, bladder, lung, and prostate cancer. Next, drizzle some avocado oil over the veggies. Using your hands or a spatula, mix them together so they're evenly coated. Next, we're gonna add your spices. Here I'm sprinkling on garlic powder, paprika powder, and salt, but feel free to use any spices you'd like. I roast these veggies at 185 degrees Celsius or roughly 365 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 40 minutes, tossing halfway to make sure that they don't burn. Moving on to the roasted ranch chickpeas. We're going to drain and rinse a can of chickpeas. And after we do that, we're gonna try to get them as dry as possible without squishing them. So you're gonna put them on a clean tea towel, spread them out, use your hands to gently pat them, and then you're gonna put them on a lined baking sheet. Spread them apart so they're not just sitting on top of each other. Then you're gonna coat them with a little bit of avocado oil, spread them around, and then you're gonna add your spices, which will be in the link below. Once you've coated them with your spices and avocado oil, you are also going to add them to the oven where your roasted veggies are currently doing their thing. Moving on to our grains, this week I am going to do some wild rice and I'm going to do some quinoa. So we're going to follow the instructions. I'm doing about a cup of rice and half a cup of quinoa. And in both the quinoa and the rice, I am adding some bouillon cubes because it gives a little bit of extra flavor. Now that our roasted veggies are delicious and done, we are going to pack them up for the week. Now that our chickpeas are done, we're going to do the same thing, add them to a container and set them aside. Our grains are also done, so we're going to put them in glass containers and set them aside as well. We're going to let them cool before we actually put them in the fridge, with the exception of the rice, which I have heard you have to put in the fridge right away. Moving on to our marinade for our maple soy glazed tofu, start by finely mincing 4 to 5 cloves of garlic and put it into a bowl or a glass jar. Next, we're going to grate about a half tablespoon of fresh ginger. Again, you could add a little bit more if you prefer. Add some maple syrup and some tamari, and give that a really good stir. Next, we're going to chop up an extra firm block of tofu. This is a 350 gram block of tofu. I'm slicing mine into 1/4 inch thick slices, and then again I'm cutting it so that they're squares. But if you want to cut these into smaller cubes, you certainly can. I like to coat the bottom of my baking tray with a little bit of the marinade and spread that around. I do this so that the bottom of the tofu will get nicely coated as well. After I've lined the tray with some of the tofu, I add more marinade, add the rest of the tofu, and then I'm going to add the rest of the marinade and stir that with my hands just to make sure that all pieces are evenly coated. Once the tofu is baked, we're also going to add this to a glass container and we're going to set it aside with the rest of our food prep ingredients. Next, we're going to make some shredded barbecue tofu by first grating up a large block of extra firm tofu, adding it to a lined baking sheet. Here I'm going to add some spices. I just used a pre-mixed taco spice. Then we're going to spread that out evenly. And then we're going to add our favorite barbecue sauce. I'm using a vegan barbecue sauce here, but you can use whatever you want. And then we're going to make sure that we use a spatula or a spoon, and we're going to mix this up well so that all of the tofu is coated. We're then going to go ahead and bake this. The key to a really good meal prep week is to also have a few different sauces on hand, because if you have a few different sauces, it makes the meals a little more exciting. So there are 2 that I'm gonna make today. One is a vegan cheesy cream sauce. It's very versatile, can go on a lot of different things. If you double batch or triple batch it, you can use it as a pasta sauce. We're gonna use it on our bowls this week. And the second one is a vegan burrito sauce. Both are super, super, super easy. Okay, so the first thing we've done is we have soaked 3/4 cup of cashews for a couple of hours. You can do it overnight as well. And we're gonna use half a cup, not the 3/4, because the other little bit we're gonna use in our vegan burrito sauce. So we're gonna add that to a blender, along with 1/3 a cup of water, about a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. You could use a little bit more if you want. It adds a nice cheesy flavor to it. And we're gonna add a little bit of salt. That's it. I'm not kidding. It really couldn't be easier to make this one. And then we're gonna blend it up until really smooth, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge. We're gonna add it to a glass jar. It smells great. Now you can see I'm not making a lot of this because it's just me most of the week this week.
My daughter is away with her dad in Mexico, and my husband will probably spend the majority of his time at the house in Oakville because we got a lot of snow this week, and the going back and forth from house to house is proving to be a little challenging this week. You could always make more if you wanted to, but again, we're just using this for bowls, so you don't need a lot. For the second sauce, we are making a vegan burrito sauce, and I'm not even gonna clean the blender out because the little bit of leftover from this creamy cheese sauce we've made actually goes really, really well with this sauce. So first thing we're gonna do is we're going to take a full jar of salsa. We're gonna take the rest of those soaked cashews, so it's about 1/4 cup of soaked cashews. Add that to the blender. We're gonna add nutritional yeast again. So I'm doing about 1.5 tablespoons, because I like this one to be a little bit cheesy. We're gonna blend it up. All right, that sauce, oh. Oh my gosh, okay, there we go. That sauce is also ready to go. This is a vegan burrito sauce, and it is so good. This is one of my husband's favorites because it goes on a lot of things, and it's really easy to make. All right, let's go finish the rest of our meal prep.
Now that our tofu is cooked through, we're going to add a little more barbecue sauce just to add some moisture back into it because it's dried out a little bit in the oven. We're going to add this to a glass container, and then we're going to put it with the rest of our food prep ingredients. If you couldn't tell, I absolutely love eating the rainbow, and this coleslaw is beautiful. We're gonna start by finely chopping some purple cabbage and some carrots. You don't have to use a food processor, but I do find that this makes it a little bit easier to get your pieces very, very thin. Moving on to the sauce, you're gonna add some vegan mayo, some Dijon mustard, some maple syrup, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Once you add your ingredients, you're gonna give this a good mix. And then you're gonna add it to your veggie mixture. This coleslaw takes minutes to make, and it is so tasty and can go on sandwiches and in nourish bowls, and it keeps well in the fridge for almost a week. Next, we're gonna make this very simple mix of black beans, corn, and some pre-made taco spice. We're gonna stir it up and then add some fresh chopped tomatoes. You could add some other beans, you could add bell peppers or jalapenos. This goes really well on some burrito nourish bowls where we've made that burrito sauce. You could even do some sort of vegan fajita. Add this to a glass container, and you're gonna set aside with the rest of your food prep ingredients.
So we finished our food prep, and we even cleaned up from making all of that food, and all of that took under 2 hours, but it's gonna save you so much time during the week, and you won't be as tempted to go and buy something outside. So anyways, I'm gonna show you what my fridge looks like now because, I don't know, I think it looks really satisfying at the end when you do all that work and then you can see all the food in here. The reason why I use the containers that I use is because when I'm not at my house, when I'm here at the condo, which I stay at during the weekdays because of work, I have a very tiny fridge. So I have to organize things a certain way, but I don't know, people get a real kick out of the way things are organized in here, so I just thought I would show you. But here you go. So this is the inside of the fridge, well organized. I mean, how satisfying is that, right? When you see the fruits of your labor all ready to go and you don't have to worry about food during the week, it's kind of fantastic. So anyway, what you will not, sorry about that, what you will not see in this part of the video, but you'll see as the week goes on, are some of the fresh ingredients that I bought that won't do well being prepped before. So avocado slices, the frozen broccoli that I purchased, fresh bell peppers. There's a few ingredients that just do better when you prep them right beforehand, but it's still gonna save you a lot of time that the staples are done. So I'm gonna take you along on the week and I'm gonna show you how I use the prepped ingredients and I incorporate some of those fresh ingredients on top of it as well.
On Monday, I had a client meeting in the afternoon, so I actually decided to work from home this day, and I was able to get a lot done. It's a little bit quieter when I'm at home, and I didn't have to worry about what I was going to eat for lunch because we did all this meal prep on Sunday. It was super, super helpful. On this day, I decided to make myself a bit of a harvest bowl, starting with some wild rice, ranch roasted chickpeas, some of those roasted veg, and I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my camera here. And then we went on and grabbed some of those black bean corn mix, and we topped it all off with some of that delicious cashew sauce. This was unbelievable. I have to say, all those flavors together, I thoroughly enjoyed this before heading out for my afternoon meeting. It was so good. On Tuesday morning, I decided to assemble my lunch right before heading to the office, which was easy because of all of our meal prep. So I started with some of that tangy coleslaw for crunch. Then I added some of that BBQ tofu for some delicious protein. And then I went in for some crunchy lettuce and pickles and some tomato. And this wrap was really giving me some spring vibes. I mean, it was so fresh and tangy and delicious. And I have to say it was a really convenient lunch to bring with me to the office as well because it wasn't messy and it was easy to transport. For Wednesday's lunch, I actually decided to make this before I went to bed on Tuesday because I had a really early Pilates class on Wednesday morning and I knew I didn't want to have to do anything besides get dressed and go. So here I am throwing some broccoli into a pan to heat. And everything else was pre-made. So I added my quinoa, and then I added some of that maple glazed tofu that we made, and the cooked broccoli, and then a little bit of that cashew sauce just to bring it all together, some dark chocolate, plant-based yogurt, and some frozen blueberries. And this was well balanced and delicious. On Thursday morning, I actually had a lot of extra time in the morning because I woke up insanely early this day and decided I wanted something a little bit fresher, like an Asian-inspired bowl. So I am going to add some edamame. First, we're going to put a pot of water on the stove and get that ready to go while we prep our ingredients. So here we are adding some wild rice for our grain, some extra tofu for some added protein. This is our maple soy glazed tofu that we prepped on Sunday. We're gonna add that to the bowl. Then for some added freshness, I am chopping up about a quarter of a bell pepper. Of course, you could add more the merrier with these fresh veggies. And then I went in for some sliced cucumber for some more freshness in this dish. And then I actually did about a half of an avocado. And what I forgot to show here is that I actually did squeeze some lemon juice on top of the avocado once it was in the bowl. Just forgot to film it, but it helps keep the freshness. Then we added some of that burrito sauce, which might seem like a weird combo, I know, but it was delicious. And then we actually packaged up our edamame separately to keep it fresh. This was actually the last day I used our meal prep for lunches this week as I had a client lunch meeting on Friday, but we did have some of them over the weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.